portion of the budget totals $2.4 million, an increase of $454,000 or 23.4%, primarily due to the expansion of personnel costs under both the economic development and the workforce development programs. The special fund portion of the budget totals $17.2 million and decreases by $9.8 million or 36.3%. The lack of new infusion of county funds.
Excuse me.
Yes.
Anybody else having problems hearing or understanding? Or is it just my computer?
Is broken up on my end as well, but I thought maybe it was my connection.
Even Lauren didn't sound.
It could be louder and more clear. Yeah.
Yeah. Raven, maybe speak a little slower. It's not you, it's the system.
Can you hear me clearly by any chance? Because if so,
Yeah.
she can come in my office and
Yes.
let
Yes.
Raven come in my office and do this then. Okay, just 1 minute, please.
Okay.
We need to put a new laptop in Raven in the budget.
What? What is he?
Oh, I said Raven needs a new laptop in the budget, one that has a good microphone.
Yeah, I want to, my next computer, I want to pick it out. I want the county to buy me one of my choice. And if I ever take a county car, I want to be able to choose it.
Hello, everyone. I'm back. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
That's much better.
Perfect. I will start over again. Good afternoon. The proposed fiscal year 2024 budget for the Department of Economic and Workforce Development totals $19.6 million, a decrease of $9.3 million or 32.3% from the fiscal year 2023 budget. The federal fund portion of the budget totals $2.4 million, an increase of $454,000 or 23.4%, primarily due to the expansion of personnel costs under both the economic development and the workforce development programs. The special fund portion of the budget totals $17.2 million, a decrease by $9.8 million or 36.3%, primarily due to the lack of a new infusion of county funds to the Economic Development Financing Fund, following a $10.5 million infusion in fiscal year 2023 and a one-time $4.3 million American Rescue Plan ARPA Workforce Grant Fund appropriation in fiscal year 2023, partially offset by $6.8 million in first-time funding for the State Blueprint Workforce Career Counseling Grant Program. On page 3, the pie chart shows how the proposed funding will be allocated. Workforce development grant programs, shown in burgundy, account for nearly 3/4 of the budget, in part due to the infusion of funding for the new Blueprint program. Economic development grant programs account for the next largest slice of the pie, with the tourism program being its main component, and the remaining costs include the general fund costs for economic and workforce development, and this year's appropriation of only external payments into the non-LEPSing revolving financing fund. On page 4, various new costs are listed in the section titled Pension Budget Reductions to reflect that there is some flexibility within the proposed budget, particularly in terms of positions that are not presently filled due to being new or as a result of attrition. Beginning at the bottom of page 4, the operating budget highlights section analyzes the drivers of the changes within the general and special funds. Personnel expenses, which total $2.2 million and reflect 93% of the general fund budget, are detailed. Notably, several new positions and salaries totaling $247,000 are budgeted to establish a new dedicated agricultural office within the department to support farming activities at the County Center for Maryland Agriculture and Farm Park. On pages 6 through 9, the analysis describes new and previously appropriated funding within the special fund budgets for several workforce development initiatives, including the aforementioned State Blueprint Workforce Career Counseling Grant. That is followed by workforce initiatives funded by federal ARPA funds, such as the Good Jobs Challenge component comprised of the Maryland Works for Wind initiative. The analysis notes that the county may utilize significant amounts of previously appropriated grant funds during fiscal year 2024, and there are some discussion points for the department and the administration about the county's plans for leveraging those funds. Beginning on page 9, the county's financing programs, such as the Economic Development Revolving Financing Fund and Boost Fund, are reviewed. Beginning on page 10, we review the tourism program, leading into a presentation on all of the county's organizational grants. You will see that the grants are summarized on various pages from page 11 through page 14. Some of the grants are budgeted outside the economic and workforce development programs of the budget. Other topics for discussion, continuing on page 15, include business assistance through the department's Small Business Action Team, as well as regional development and large business changes, such as the ongoing port upgrades and infrastructure projects at TradePoint Atlantic. At this time, I'm happy to turn it over for discussion.
Thank you very much. Any questions or comments from the members before we move on to Dr. Lynch?
Yes, Mr. Chair.
Yes, go right ahead, Councilman Crandall.
So I'd like to ask our auditors, on page 4, where potential budget reductions are discussed. Towards the end of the page, before operating budget highlights, there's the statement that to the extent that the council deems less general funds than proposed to be necessary for the department's initiatives and vacant positions, budget reductions would be viable. Can we get more of an explanation for that statement?
Well, basically what we're showing are areas of flexibility that, for example, there are new positions. So if a decision would be to not fund those, then that's what that statement is representing. So showing new areas to the budget, new positions that wouldn't be hired until the council would approve the budget. So that helps.
Can you say it again, Lauren? So I can wrap my brain around it.
So basically, the bullets highlight either significant increases in the budget, and the second and third bullets reflect new positions. So until the council would approve the budget, the positions can't be hired. And the following paragraph highlights the turnover that is in the budget. So that is basically saying, based on the council's decisions, those are the areas of flexibility. So the council do not to fund those particular matters, positions or tourism increases.
Okay. Yep, got it. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman Crandall. Anyone else?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
if I could ask the auditors, looking at the grants to arts and sciences organizations, were we provided with any sort of information on what percentage of Baltimore Countyans or students attend some of these institutions? For example, I note some places that are receiving increases. The Baltimore Clay Works, for example, places, the Baltimore Concert Opera. I'm just curious, were we given any sort of explanation for the ones that are particularly increasing? How many students, how many residents are going to these places?
That may be provided in the commission's report. I would have to check, but a lot of times that level of detail is included. Madam CEO, is there anything further you would suggest?
Yes, and in the report provided by the department during the analysis process, the report did also state, like Lauren had mentioned, the number of county residents served, as well as the overall number of individuals who may participate in those activities For example, if there's a particular event that is hosted by an organization, they will ultimately show the number of expected residents anticipated in participating, and then the overall number of individuals anticipated to utilize that program.
That's all I was going to say, Lauren, that we do collect that type of data and we look at that type of data that the department does. So it is it's asked in our application for grants. We ask that question.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Councilman Marks. Any additional questions or comments? Okay, Dr. Lynch.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon, Chairman and to Councilmen. It is a pleasure to present to you the Department of Economic and Workforce Development budget for FY24. I would like to begin by highlighting some of our accomplishments in FY23, as well as our look ahead to FY24. And as a former educator, I would like to begin by talking about our commitment to our youngest residents. We know the importance of supporting our young people as they begin their career exploration and gain meaningful employment experiences. Last year, we provided summer youth employment with 400 students, and this year we are excited to expand our program by 50 students. We've had over 1,500 applicants, and we will serve 450 students this year. And in addition, we will serve 96 youth in our WIOA program, which provides additional wraparound supports and services. And we are looking forward to expanding beyond just summer employment opportunities to full year employment in FY24. As we look forward to FY24, we will continue to look for additional funding streams to expand our youth programs. And in addition, we will work with BCPS, DCBC, our business development team, and our workforce development team to build more apprenticeship, internship, mentoring, and employment pathways for our youth. In collaboration with BCPS, we are exploring ways to best support businesses in becoming a youth apprenticeship provider. And in 2024, we will launch our Youth Career Consulting Program as part of Blueprint for Maryland's future law. DUDE will employ 27 new career consultants through the grant that will be deployed to each high school feeder pattern with 2 dedicated bilingual consultants and a consultant dedicated to our special education and our alternative school programs. In partnership with BCPS and CCBC, we will provide a variety of career exploration activities and targeted career counseling that will help students select academic and employment opportunities on their path to success. CCBC offers free community college to all rising 9th through 12th graders, so students will have the opportunity to engage in dual enrollment and enrichment courses through their high school career, beginning as early as the summer of their 8th grade year. And as part of our career counseling program, we will also be exploring the use of modern technology, including AI and virtual reality, to bring opportunities to our students that would otherwise be out of reach. And while we are excited to get our students started on their career path, we know that career support goes beyond the launch from high school. The county executive has proposed free community college for all families making less than $150,000 a year. This is transformational for our workforce development programs. With this level of investment, we will be able to build out more programs like our Public Health Pathways program. This nationally recognized program provides residents who have experienced barriers to achieving their dream of working in healthcare be able to access their dream. We are providing full scholarships for participants to get their certified nursing assistant certificate and their practical nursing degree. With a public-private investment with the University of Maryland St. Joe Medical Center, we are providing guaranteed employment, customized work and school schedules, and wraparound support. We know that programs like this are what our residents are looking for because we received interest from 748 people for only 30 available slots. We are now working with CCBC and our healthcare partners to support those not selected for the program to ensure that they also find a pathway to success. And we are eager to replicate the success of this program in our other industry sectors. Healthcare is currently our industry sector with the most critical workforce shortages, and so we will continue to look for opportunities to build programs like this and to provide support throughout our workforce and economic development offices. Just yesterday, we hosted a hiring event with our Mobile Career Center and MedStar, and over 100 applicants registered to attend. In the upcoming year, we will be deploying our mobile units across Baltimore County to bring workforce development opportunities directly to our residents. We have already partnered with the Department of Housing and Community Development to launch the Housing and Economic Mobility Initiative. In our first event, we partnered with Amazon and Baltimore County agencies as anchor employers for an event at CCBC. We have upcoming events planned at our libraries and select apartment complexes. And in addition, our mobile units have offered 5-week computer essential courses at our senior centers, as well as the Islamic Society of Baltimore. We are currently using BC Stats data to target areas within Baltimore County with the highest rates of unemployment or underemployment. And in FY24, we will increase our partnerships and continue to utilize the Mobile Career Center to look for new ways to best support our new American populations. I am proud that our Departments of Economic Development and Workforce Development are working in tandem to support our workforce needs. In our Office of Economic Development, our talent management coordinators serve the county's business by matching our workers with employers through job fairs, job club events, and ongoing business outreach efforts to understand the volume and skill sets needed for our clients to maintain, expand, or initiate business operations. This service is a direct complement to our workforce development programs in our Workforce Development Office. The county executive has been clear about his vision to focus on workforce in his second term. We will continue to support this vision by expanding programs like the Public Health Pathways Program to meet our community workforce needs, going beyond our needs in healthcare to address our shifting and emerging needs throughout the county. As part of that work, we are partnering with BC Stat to update our Job Connector Toolkit that was last updated in 2019. The toolkit was designed to help align anticipated business needs with the local workforce and education systems to build a skilled talent pipeline. With the Job Connector Toolkit, DUDE is better equipped to learn more about where job growth will occur in Baltimore County and how businesses, workers, and our overall economy can benefit from the jobs of the future. Our local economy has historically been balanced by both stability and dynamic growth across a broad range of industry sectors. Prior to COVID-19, we identified 9 key industries that drive 50% of the county's job growth and account for up to 75% of the growth through 2024. However, we know that COVID has dramatically changed the landscape of work and economic development. I have already had the opportunity to speak with many of you about vacancies in your high-impact corridors. And to this end, our team is currently engaging in a variety of data analyses, both within our county, as a comparative to our neighboring counties, and as a comparative to our most economically vibrant communities across the nation. We will use this data to not only update the Job Connector Toolkit, but to inform a broader economic strategy as we move forward together. In the area of tourism, our Baltimore County Tourism Department, in partnership with the Owings Mills Marriott, won the bid to be our host destination for the Maryland Tourism and Travel Summit for 2023. We are very excited to showcase Baltimore County to our tourism partners across our great state. The event will be the week of November 8th, and as part of our planning process, we look forward to seeking opportunities to highlight our local businesses and attractions, from our rolling farms to our serene waterfronts. DUDE has contracted with Mariner to complete a tourism refresh and rebrand. The county's rebranding efforts will initially target leisure travelers, establishing a foundation that will showcase all that Baltimore County has to offer. And I know waterfront is a big interest. The initial goals of this rebrand will be awareness, education, and then eventually increasing what we call heads in beds. We want people to stay here overnight and enjoy all we have to offer. As visitors are encouraged to eat, play, and stay in Baltimore County, this will drive a positive economic impact across our hospitality industry in Baltimore County. Enjoy Baltimore County's goal is to use the momentum of the rebrand to further encourage future businesses and events being planned in the county, once it is established as a fully operational destination marketing organization that is actively engaged in both regional and out-of-market visitors. In addition, we will explore ways to improve our regional tourism, driving residents from across Maryland to the beautiful destinations, experiences, and accommodations in Baltimore County. And I hope you had the chance to catch the exciting press conference yesterday, because we will kick off the fall with the return of the Maryland Cycling Classic. This year's goal is to improve attendance from 70,000 to 100,000, and we are eager to welcome those additional attendees to Baltimore County. We will be looking for ways to elevate local brands, encourage repeat visits to those enjoying Baltimore County for the first time. And as we look ahead to FY24, we are excited about elevating our arts, entertainment, and cultural sciences community. The upcoming budget includes over $2.9 million in grants to our local organizations, with grants ranging from $1,000 to $50,000. Our balanced portfolio includes significant investments in our local gems, contributions to our regional cultural partners who serve our county residents, and capital investments that will ensure that our residents can enjoy local and regional attractions for generations to come. Some examples of our investments around Baltimore County include the Creative Alliance, the Glenn L. Martin, Maryland Aviation Museum, the Historical Society of Baltimore County, the Natural History Society of Maryland, which I'm very excited to see after hearing all of the residents who visited our town hall talk about it, the JCC Gordon Center, the Irvine Nature Center in Owings Mills, and the Towson University Asian Arts Center, just to name a few. A few of our regional gems include Maryland Public Television, the National Aquarium, the Baltimore Concert Opera, and the Walters Art Museum. We are also investing in the Fire Museum of Maryland, which highlights our Baltimore County Fire Department and the Maryland Line, Chestnut Ridge, Providence, and Lutherville volunteer fire departments. These regional gems provide critical arts, history education, and service appreciation to our Baltimore County youth and adults. In FY23, we welcome Terry Rising to our DUDE team. Terry is overseeing our cultural arts and sciences grants programs. She is bringing new ideas, processes, and oversight mechanisms that will enhance our grant delivery and evaluation process for FY24 and beyond. Baltimore County is the heart of a uniquely productive agricultural belt. The combination of excellent soils, adequate rainfall, and access to markets makes Baltimore County a particularly important hub of successful agriculture operations. It is also the hub of a successful agriculture preservation program and supportive local zoning. To date, Baltimore County has preserved more than 70,000 acres of farms and forest land. A conservative estimate values annual agriculture sales in Baltimore County at $352 million, but could easily exceed $738 million. The county's strategic location and base of permanently protected productive agriculture land has resulted in a thriving and growing agriculture industry. Baltimore County has invested significant funds in agricultural preservation and in our local farmers. Successful farmers are nimble in their responses to changing markets and consumer preferences, and our consumers are increasingly asking to buy local, to know their producers, and to know where their food comes from. As we experienced during COVID, the food supply chain is fragile, and our farmers were key partners in our COVID food security strategy, and they remain key partners in our food supply chain sustainability. This year, we were excited to welcome Jess Armacost to our team as our Agriculture Business Development Specialist. She is spearheading a comprehensive strategic plan for Baltimore County agriculture, which will detail a roadmap forward for an Office of Agriculture within the Department of Economic and Workforce Development. In addition to interdepartmental cross-collaboration and alignment, we look forward to engaging with local agriculture industry leaders, commodity groups, state and federal agencies, as well as new, beginning, and historically underserved farmers. As we look to FY24, we will continue to expand our office. The office will be better organized the services already provided by Baltimore County and will establish a platform for offering sustained services to the industry and to the community. The FY24 budget includes a senior manager for the Office of Agriculture, and by coordinating all of our existing services under this leadership, the Office of Agriculture and DUDE will improve efficiencies as well as customer service and support to our valued agriculture industry sector. By incorporating the work of the Ag Center into DUDE, we will enhance the industry by serving as a one-stop shop for farmers in the agriculture community, by creating vocational opportunities across the lifespan, by coordinating farmer training programs in partnership with our DUDE Youth and Workforce Development programs, and establish additional opportunities for farmers, value-added ag, and agro-tourism in Baltimore County. And as we look to the successes within the economic development, TradePoint Atlantic continues to stand out as a model of what can be accomplished through the collaborative work of county government, private industry, and state support. We work closely with TPA owners, the Maryland Commerce Department, and our fellow Baltimore County departments to attract, finance, and permit inbound investments at TPA. Just a short time ago, we announced new partnerships within the offshore wind industry, and we anticipate more announcements in the year ahead. Our team is building out the supply chain and ancillary industry strategy to ensure that TPA presents the best opportunity for staging, manufacture, assembly, and deployment of wind turbines for sites along the entire Atlantic shelf. At TPA, DUDE partners with Maryland Commerce to provide state and county tax incentives. Offshore wind and related companies have become a focal point for attraction at TPA due to its space availability and its waterborne access. Marshalling locations, which is the gathering of large finished products, which I just found out about, is a key need for offshore wind industry, and it relies on available space and production for the offshore windmill finished products. DUDE recently received state grant funds to create 4 new offshore wind-related positions, specifically to help the county and state provide a sufficient pipeline of available workers unique to the offshore wind industry. This will be a key focus for us in the upcoming year. Across the county, we know that all of our retail industries have been hard hit by COVID. I've heard from many of you already, and many of our local chambers have reached out to you as well as to my team to discuss how the shift in consumer purchasing pattern is impacting our main streets and our related corridors. In the next year, my team will work with you, community members, and business leaders to better understand how industries need to adapt in grocery, banking, consumer goods, and services. Our retail commercial industry representative is currently meeting with commercial property owners, their tenants, and brokers to gain insights into the commercial landscape and where the county programs can stabilize our commercial corridors and identify new tenants for vacant storefronts. DUDE has recently hired a business development representative to focus on industry sectors that can provide great job opportunities for county citizens across a wide spectrum of skill level, but with a focus on developing high-wage, high-skill positions. We plan to inventory and reach out to companies in defense, aerospace, and life science companies to understand the strength and opportunities of operating such companies within our county. We will leverage what we learn to build programs to highlight these industry strengths and to create promotional programs for outreach to those sectors both nationally and abroad. Our Economic Development Office has hired a seasoned economic development professional to serve as our business attraction representative. This professional will craft an investment attraction strategy and program to identify and engage business prospects from across Maryland, nationally and internationally. This requires dedicated outreach, identification of industry sectors to focus upon, and engagement with specific firms throughout outreach at trade fairs, conferences, business and industry councils, and through our strong working relationship with our Maryland Commerce staff. On the international front, we look forward to working with our state commerce staff to highlight Baltimore County's business-friendly climate, strategic location, infrastructure, and workforce attributes so that we can engage firms seeking a landing site in U.S. operations. Our newly renamed Small Business Action Team continues to counsel entrepreneurs, startups, and small operating businesses on a host of issues that impact their ability to launch or expand business operations. These counseling sessions are handled both virtually as well as face-to-face in all of our Baltimore County libraries and at the Towson University Startup Business Incubator over at the Armory. Over the last 9 months, our Small Business Action Team has been short-staffed due to illness, and we've only had 1 counselor available. But we've now taken steps to bring on supplemental staff that will begin in May, and this will allow us to bolster outreach campaigns and to partnering organizations, increasing our counseling capacity and ensuring that new and prospective startups can receive the support and contacts required to maximize opportunities for a business launch. Assistance with business plan development, licensing, financing, and referrals to business support experts continue to serve as the core components of this effort. Within this budget is the inclusion of 3 new positions and 3 transferred positions. The first position is an agriculture manager position. As we begin the work of aligning agriculture sector support within our office, we will require a manager to create and execute a strategic plan to best support our agricultural industry. The second position is a boards and commissions manager. Within the Department of Economic and Workforce Development, we currently have 4 boards and commissions. the Workforce Development Board, the Economic Development Advisory Board, the Commission on Cultural Arts and Sciences, and the Tourism Commission. We do not have any full-time staff dedicated to supporting these boards, and as a result, our small but mighty staff is often pulled from other initiatives to staff the work of the boards and commissions. A dedicated manager will not only expand the bandwidth of our current staff, but will also allow for cross-collaboration and consistent processes across all of our boards and commissions. The final position is a grants manager. DOOD is a predominantly grant-funded department with new grants coming on board in the FY24 year, including the full execution of our ARPA grants, the Blueprint for Maryland's Future Career Counseling Grant Program, and the Maryland Work for Wing Grant Program. In addition, in the upcoming year, we would like to be more aggressive in seeking new grant opportunities to better support both innovative workforce development programs and more investments to support our aging business infrastructure and business attraction strategies. In the upcoming budget, the Department of Economic and Workforce Development will also transition 3 positions from Rec and Parks. These positions support the work of the Ag Center and are an ongoing strategic plan to provide better alignment of services to our agriculture community. While the department experienced some vacancies in FY23, we are aggressively filling positions. In just a few short weeks of my tenure, I have already signed 6 offer letters, and we have several more interviews and offers in the pipeline. We currently have 9 non-ARPA positions vacant, including the director and the deputy director. Over half of those positions we are already recruiting for, and we anticipate to have filled in the next 2 months. While the FY24 budget includes an increase of $76,000, these increases are due to position reclassifications and salaries of our newly hired staff. The FY24 budget for the Department of Economic and Workforce Development includes $2,392,300 in general funds requested and $19.6 million in workforce development grant funding. Overall, the DOOD budget for FY24 decreased by $9.3 million or 32.3% from the FY23 budget. And historically, the DOOD budget has been approximately 0.1% of county budget appropriations. Although the auditors suggest the opportunity for budget cuts, especially in the area of staffing, I respectfully disagree and ask that you retain all of our existing and proposed positions. Most of our positions are grant funded, which comes with restrictions about the scope of work that they can complete. And as we look forward to being more aggressive and innovative in both economic development and workforce development, we will continue to need more, not less, staffing to do this most important work. In addition, we need more staffing that has the flexibility to go beyond the boundaries of existing grants to seek new opportunities. I would like to thank the Council for your thoughtful consideration of our budget for the FY24 Department of Economic and Workforce Development, and I will now open the floor for questions.
Thank you, Dr. Lynch. Any questions or comments from the members?
Mr. Chairman.
Yes, Councilman Katz.
Yeah, thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. I've been very persistent in regard to the agricultural community, and I certainly want to thank the county executive. I have spoken with him many times about creating a agency to deal with agriculture in Baltimore County. The numbers that you read as to the economic effect on the county, I think are probably low. And when you look at the number of people whose jobs depend on farming, it is a very important industry in Baltimore County. The Ag Center, which unfortunately up until this year, each year, its effectiveness in assisting and helping the agricultural community, the effectiveness has gone down. And, you know, I'm so happy we have a county executive that does listen and act accordingly. And so I want to thank him so much for the efforts in this direction. very pleased that the agricultural office will be at the Ag Center. Uh, I, you know, we have invested in preserving over 70,000 acres of farmland in northern Baltimore County. And obviously, we're going to need farmers in the future. When I look at Councilman Jones and Councilman Patoka, I think automatically how many of our farmers are getting older, and they are you know, looking to pass on their farms to relatives, etc. And you find that so many young people aren't really that interested in farming. So it's important that the Ag Center be in full swing so that we can bring young people there, so they can see that food doesn't come out of the refrigerator in the grocery store or out of a can in the grocery store, can see and understand exactly where food is coming from. And, you know, one of the programs that they used to have, which I think was very, very valuable, there are farmers, many farmers who like to lease, who do lease their farmland. And we've had a couple of sessions where young people who've expressed an interest in farming, but obviously can't go out and buy a farm. It's just plain too expensive. We're given the opportunities to lease farmland and farm it and learn about the industry. So, you know, we have quite an investment here. And I can't tell you how happy I am with this action. And the only thing that I ask is, up until last year, there was a very active group of farmers who assisted at the Ag Center. And after years of frustration, they disbanded. And I'm hoping that under this new leadership, that these farmers will come back. Besides organizing programs and hosting young people, they were very active at the Ag Center, but things got pretty well. I don't know how to describe it, but pretty. I don't know that they were very welcome. Okay, I'll put it to you that way. And so let's bring some of those people back. I'm sure they're going to be willing to help this new department so that we can have even better agricultural community. So again, I'm really optimistic about this. When you were talking about job opportunities for young people, I don't know if any of that, those funds where you're going to bring on, what, 450 students, I think you said, in the county. Was that the number, 450?
So we have 450 students who are going to be going through our summer youth employment.
Right.
I think where we have some real opportunities is with the Blueprint for Maryland's Future funding, and then collaboration with BCPS. They have the barn going up. We're looking for opportunities to expand agriculture to other schools. Good. I think there's a lot of great work happening in this space, Councilman, so especially in youth.
So, well, again, thank you so much. And I am, please don't hesitate to contact me if you need any help or any contacts, because this community is very vital to Baltimore County. I like to eat, for one. So you know, that's how important they are. We cannot exist without them. And again, sometimes I felt as if I was bugging the county executive too much, but he does listen and has taken this action. And I can't tell you how much I appreciate, Dr. Lynch, your work. And that of the county executive of your department in this area. Again, thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Councilman Catch. Any additional questions or comments?
Mr. Chairman. Councilman.
Go ahead. Was it Councilman Young?
Sure. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And thank you, Director Lynch, and congratulations again on your recent appointment. Wanted to make sure, one, great presentation. You hit most of the things that I had put down in my notes that I wanted to ask about the department in the future. Plus, anything I'm asking, also take it as a point of interest from myself and my office for the next year and how we can partner and things that we're focused on. So one, you did touch on briefly the current funds from the state, and I just want to give you an opportunity to kind of maybe give us some more detail about what you're expecting, or maybe somebody from your staff on how we working throughout these 12 months through that fund and through the department.
I'm sorry, Councilman, but you broke up. There is a fund. You are looking for more information. Which fund?
The blueprint fund coming from the state.
Oh, okay. Yes, we are very excited. So there is approximately $6.7 million that will be coming to our workforce development focused on career counseling for our youth, predominantly 6th through 12th grade. We are working with DCDC and Baltimore County Public Schools. We've developed an MOU. As part of that MOU, Baltimore County Public Schools will be providing a breadth of experiential learning opportunities that may include engagement at junior achievement, tours on college campuses, opportunities to work with DCDC, to look for, to be hands-on at the campuses. We, in addition, have 27 career counselors. That is one counselor for each of the 24 high school zones, as well as 2 dedicated bilingual counselors and one specifically for our special education and alternative schools, so that we can really sort of target our supports and make sure that we're meeting the needs of every child. No child's getting left behind. In addition, we have funding to really start to explore how we can expand and utilize technology. How can we utilize virtual reality and AI so that we can start to bring virtual experiences to our students, whether or not that's short-term credentialing or just virtual shadowing experiences, for opportunities that students would not otherwise be available for due to risk levels or just, geographic boundaries. And so we're really excited to use a multi-pronged approach to provide career exploration for our youngest students, and then that dedicated career counseling. And one of the reasons that our legislators at the state level were very targeted in making sure that this was housed within our workforce development office was because we want to be making those direct connections with our industry partners. I can tell you I've already had conversations with several who are excited about this and want to know how they can connect directly with our career consultants to be letting them know, young people know about opportunities within their industries. So I'm really excited to have that direct line right from our Baltimore County business partners and industry sector leaders into our young people.
Thank you, Director Lynch. And 2 other questions, Mr. Chairman, if you don't mind.
Oh, go right ahead.
And they both apply to, well, ARPA funds, but also related to first round of COVID funds before we even got here. So when the pandemic hit and financial resources were coming from the federal government, and after they were distributed through grants, through loans of no interest, reports and studies came back showing that our small minority and women-owned businesses had received funds at a much lesser rate than other businesses. And that wasn't for any lack of equality of access, a lack of equality of information, or even competence in the ability to apply and receive and then apply it to their businesses. I was wondering, through our department, what resources you have available to you, through you and your staff, to making sure we're educating our small minority-owned businesses of the resources available through the county and potentially through the state to then assist them with their business opportunities. And the other question would be, what are we doing to make sure that we're meeting our deadlines related to ARPA funds for obligation deadlines that are coming up in 2024. And back to you.
Okay. So I am actually really excited for a refresh of our small business action team and our small business strategy. We are bringing on a new professional who has longstanding experience in working and building out these programs. One of the things that we've already started to do is connect our existing counselor and start to develop plans to connect our new people with our new Director of Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion, Savitra Peoples, to make sure that we are ensuring that we are doing all of that work to highlight and to make sure we're engaging our small businesses, especially women-owned and minority-owned businesses. We are really excited about what is to come in developing that strategy, as well as looking at what is available around the state and making sure we're connecting to state-level programs as well. I would expect that we'll see a little bit more in the next maybe 6 months as we get ready to launch that strategy and think really critically about how we're engaging our populations. In addition, I'm excited that our newest member of the team will also be joining the New Americans Task Force. As you know, many of us heard in the town halls around the county this year, there was a really high level of interest from our immigrant communities and our global communities to start new businesses and looking for those supports. And so we think having that connection to our New American Task Force will be incredibly important to learn what we need to do to best support our residents. We are working through all of our ARPA programming and planning. I'm excited that we already have executed MOUs and grant agreements for some, and we are working through getting the rest of that finalized. I am fully confident that by December 2024, we will have all of our grant funding dued for our ARPA 1. Our first round will be fully executed and ready to go.
Outstanding, thank you. And last thing, if somebody had mentioned earlier, one of the members, about the number of residents participating or using facilities that were grant funding, I also wouldn't mind seeing a breakdown of that myself. Thank you very much.
No problem. We have individual, we have how many residents are accessing each of the programs, and we can put that together.
Outstanding. Thank you very much.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, Councilman Young. Any additional questions or comments?
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, go ahead, Councilman Ertel.
I think it was Councilman Marks, but I do have a question too, but go ahead, Councilman Marks.
No, go ahead. That's perfectly fine.
Director Lynch, I had two questions. You had said that in the county you've identified 9 key industries. Can you speak to those? And then also on the blueprint with the 27 career counselors, you say the high school feeder patterns, and it sounded as if these counselors were potentially going to be in the middle schools as well. Is that or servicing the middle schools when you say feeder patterns? And I just to tack onto that, when I was at CCBC's on the Board of Trustees, we saw how a lot of other colleges across the country were working on career counseling, and often what they would say in their seminars is that if you're engaging students at the high school level, often you're too late. That a lot of if you often need to plant the seed at the middle school level. And I don't know what those, and I think we need a lot of this. I feel like we have a lot of youth in our county who don't have a lot of direction, and we're skirting that road of poverty these days. So this is going to be really important that we get this right, to encourage kids to go out there, because there's plenty of jobs out there. So I'll get off my soapbox and let you answer the question. Sorry. So.
I appreciate that, and you are not alone, and I think you share the wisdom of of the legislators in our General Assembly who really thought it was important that we begin this work much earlier than high school. And so when we talk about a feeder pattern in a school system are the elementary schools, the middle schools, and then the high school. And so when we talk about the high school feeder pattern, it's all of those schools that then the students would go up through into the high school. And so, you know, what we see already, Baltimore County Public Schools has already done some really incredible work in the exploratory phases and in integrating those exploratory opportunities in elementary school. Who is in your community, you know, who are your community helpers starting to do that exploration. What this program will do is start as early as 6th grade with really targeted experiential learning opportunities, as well as dedicated career counseling. I had the benefit of visiting Junior Achievement yesterday, which will be one of the programs that Baltimore County Public Schools will be contracting with. And if you haven't been to their facilities, I really do suggest you visit. They have created mini communities, and students spend a day. There are 2 different versions for middle schoolers and then for high schoolers. It starts as early as 4th grade all the way up through graduating seniors. And it gives them opportunities to look at both macroeconomics or microeconomics. And so they may be part of a large community in which somebody's a mayor and somebody's a business leader, or they could also be working through their own personal finances. So that starts as early as 4th grade. Again, it goes all the way through 12th grade, and the career consultants will be also meeting individually. So to your point, now with the new blueprint, students must select, or should be selecting sort of their career pathway where they're going to go by around 10th grade, and make sure that they're on their college and career readiness pathway. And so we want to get there before 10th grade to make sure that they know what their options are.
And what were our 9 key industries? Do you know those offhand? Just for curiosity's sake.
I'm gonna have to get you the full 9. I know I'm gonna say like 2 or 3 off the top of my head, but I think part of what we're trying to look at now is to see if these key industries have been retained with the shift in COVID, because one of the things that we know is that this is a little bit behind the times, but it is transportation, distribution, and logistics, construction, education, manufacturing, healthcare, government, professional services, information technology, financial services, maybe?
Oh,
Were you able to hear me?
Yes,
Or was I
yes.
muted? You heard my sectors? Was I right? Is anybody quizzing me?
yeah, I think you're right.
What about public safety? What about public safety?
Sir, I'm not sure that is one of the targeted 9 sectors, but I think you bring up an excellent point that needs to continue to be an area of focus.
The top 2 are government and healthcare.
Okay.
Just virtually by what you look at what is headquartered in the county, especially from federal, and then you go to state government. With Social Security, that makes it a big part of it. There's 16,000 people to work on that campus alone. And then it's the healthcare industry. You look at the hospitals and healthcare organizations in our county. Ag is one too.
What did you say?
Agriculture is
Ag.
one.
I just didn't hear you. Fine. Thank you.
Mhm.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
and I'm going to be very brief
Councilman Marks?
because we are running late. I just want to echo Councilman Catch's comments about the agriculture changes. And I know Councilman Catch has been very vigilant about pushing for this. It's a key sector of our county. I'm glad to see the county executive giving it the attention it deserves. I've been on this council for a long time, it seems, and sometimes the department is relegated, your department, Dr. Lynch, is relegated to a small corner of the courthouse. And this is a department that needs robust attention and funding, and I'm happy you're receiving it. I do have some questions about the golf funding, the Western Golf Association, but I think that funding is in the planning department's budget instead of yours, so I'll leave it for that. So take care. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Mr. Chair,
Yes, sir. Councilman Patoka?
just one quick question related to the 9 sectors that we're going to be looking at. Are we going to look at office space utilization across the board on those 9 sectors? Because that has been really impactful pre-COVID and post-COVID.
Yes, sir. I can tell you that already I have started the work with my team to start to map out, what is available, what is vacant, sort of what is happening around Baltimore County, overlaying what our industry map is on top of that to see where our industries are, where there's opportunities perhaps to bring in new industries. So we're starting the deep dive of analyses, layering on workforce, layering on what sort of our footprints are, and then our sectors to see where we can really find new opportunities.
I think we'll have to do it both in the macro and micro level because, for example, I know of many businesses that are not asking their employees to come into the office for 5 days, but are asking for 3 days or something like that, or some hybrid version of in-office and remote working. And then there's also many industries that are looking at a 4-day work week. And so how does that impact office space utilization? And in addition, if a company is locked into a long-term lease, does that really impact whether the employees are coming in 3 days or 4 days or 5 days or more? So I think it's, you got to look at it at the macro level and then take a deep dive into it.
I agree, and we look forward to digging in, and we look forward from continued feedback from you and your community members to also let us know what's happening boots on the ground. I think all of those data points together will really help us get a great landscape.
Okay, thank you.
Any additional questions or comments?
Yeah, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, Councilman Catch?
Thank you. Dr. Lynch, I was in the school system, you were as well. And will you comment on the deteriorating academic performance of our students in the county schools and the challenges that performance is for your Office of Workforce Development?
And if you don't mind, Dr. Lynch, if you can be brief, we are over 40 minutes behind schedule. We still have the libraries waiting, and we still have planning waiting.
Well, I will be brief in saying that I think that Dr. Williams is probably the best representative to answer questions about the deterioration of the school system. But part of what we're excited about is expanding apprenticeships and internships and the career counseling to make sure that our students are well prepared when they are ready to enter the workforce.
Thank you.
Okay, any additional questions or comments? All right, thank you very much, Dr. Lynch. We certainly appreciate you, and congratulations again on your position, and appreciate you being so informative this afternoon. And now I guess we will switch gears to the libraries. Lauren?
Actually, this is the Department of Planning, and Scott Mitchell from my office will be giving the presentation on the budget.
All right, thank you.
I didn't hear anything. What?
This is the Department of Planning's budget. And
Okay.
Scott Mitchell from my office will be giving the presentation.
Thank you, Laura.
Thank you, Chairman Jones and council members. The proposed FY24 budget for the Department of Planning totals $3.7 million, which is an increase of $290,000 or 8.5% over the FY23 budget. As you can see on pages 1 and 2 of the analysis, the department's FY24 budget is only comprised of the general fund, which totals $3.7 million and increases by $303,000 or 8.9%, primarily due to increases in personnel expenses such as COLA and increments, consultant services to support the implementation of Master Plan 2030, and the Comprehensive Zoning Map Process, or CZMP costs. The special fund portion of the budget decreases by $13,000 to zero due to the one-time FY23 certified local government grant for Baltimore County Design Guidelines update. On page 3, the exhibit displays the department's budget history, as well as the general fund reversions. The pie charts show how the proposed funding will be allocated across programs and expenditures. Community development represents the largest program allocation, while personnel costs represent the largest category of expenditures. On page 4, the analysis notes the areas within the general fund and capital budgets that support new expenditures or reflect budget flexibility where potential reductions could be identified if the council wanted to explore such options. Operating budget highlights, which begin on page 4, include non-personnel expenses, personnel expenses, and community planning initiatives. Capital budget highlights begin on page 9, and at this time, I'd like to turn it over for discussion.
Okay, any questions, comments from the members?
Yes, Mr.
Uh,
Chairman.
Yes, go right ahead.
Actually, I'll wait till Mr. Lafferty goes. That's fine.
Okay, Director Lafferty?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the County Council. I'm joined today by Elizabeth Hans and Amy Nante, who may be able to answer some of the questions as well. Excuse me. First, I'd like to note that our budget also includes the hearing officer's office, which has in this budget 3 administrative law judges, as well as their support personnel, as well as the People's Council and their members. So it's beyond the planning department specifically. We've been working over the last year to help to rebuild capacity in communities throughout the county. Our community planners have been actively engaged and working with communities to begin to address some of their short-term and longer-term plans. We've been working to increase community engagement and through various survey tools and other outreach methodologies to engage hundreds of people, really, or maybe more than that, particularly concerning the master plan activity. And doing so, we also recognize that developing plans require some attention to the implementation. We've begun to work more extensively with other agencies to find the right mechanisms to ensure that community plans are not a static or stagnant document, but in fact will reflect not only today's needs, but the future's needs, and can actually be implemented over time. We're also then looking to support community-based efforts to make these improvements. We need on-the-ground partners and are working to make sure that community groups throughout the county have different levels of expertise and knowledge and resources to help work with us to make these things happen. And it also obviously means developing meaningful plans that are going to reflect the total community, not just a few people who have certain ideas about what their future should be. To that extent, as maybe a bragging point, is our Community Planning Institute actually kicked off last night. This came out of the Public Works LLC recommendation. We had over 115 applicants to participate in this program and select 25 people for the first cohort. They met last night, began engaging with each other, as well as learning a little bit about the planning department and development land use processes. This program will last throughout the month of May, and we expect to hopefully build a different set of supporters who will work with us as we look at land use and development processes going forward. Similarly, the master plan has been underway for 2 years. We are now getting ready to present to the planning board. That'll be tomorrow evening. Over the previous 2 weeks, it had been posted, actually 3 weeks, it had been posted to get public input and comment. We received well over 184 different comments and have been working to integrate as many of those as possible that are applicable into the master plan document going forward. After the May 4th introduction, it'll be then subject to a public hearing on May 18th. And following that, we will have 2 sessions with the planning board members to work through the plan itself before it's then presented and sent to the county council. We have also been actively working on the background that's necessary to put together the comprehensive zoning map process. Those of you who have been on the council are aware of the extent to which detailed information has to be gathered and analyzed. Obviously, we need to make sure all the systems are operational so that we can start in September by taking requests for zoning changes from the public into the middle of October, and then shift to the planning department and planning board members, suggested changes in the zoning. And then, of course, in November, the council members have the opportunity as well to introduce any issues that they see as viable and appropriate for their districts. So in developing the community plans over time, we've been assisting in the implementation itself and through sustainable community plans and through other mechanisms that already existed. We've been trying to sort of provide some deliverables, not just a nice plan. Although we're getting increasing interest in the community to renew the community plans that exist. One of the recommendations coming out of the master plan will be to create small area plans. This is an area in which we're going to need consultant services and support. Our staff is fairly small, but in order to really dig in and provide the kind of detailed information that's going to be necessary for small area plans, we're going to seek consultant services to work with us and help to define the boundaries of these plans, the content, and how do we engage the community in the best way possible to develop a strategy for that area. We also manage capital projects in our countywide improvement account. As noted by Councilman Marks, and noted, I'm sure, there are a number of capital projects that have been individually called out. We also have a separate bulk account that is $4 million approved by the voters during the last referendum. And examining that fund looking forward, we're looking to concentrate a lot of effort on facade improvements and physical business improvements in corridors and commercial revitalization districts, as well as provide grants to other community groups or business organizations that are looking to make improvements in their districts or in their neighborhoods. If a community group, for instance, owns a building or a hall and needs some renovation, new roof, or some other kind of improvements, this capital fund will be available to them. We're developing the outline and framework for delivering that and working with the community groups themselves to develop an application that's not only appropriate, but also is not too onerous and really reflects how we can support local interest in improving what they're doing. Our research analysis and design division has been able to increase its own capacity through new technologies so that we not only are serving other agencies with various research data and information, but also then can develop different tools for evaluating development plans that we're required to review. We're using technologies through Esri, through ArcGIS, in order to really better understand some of the trending and what some of the impacts may be from any development that's proposed in the county. We also, as Dr. Lynch referenced, the boards and commissions. We have 4 boards and commissions. One is the Agricultural Advisory Board, the other is Landmarks Preservation, the Design Review Panel, and of course the Planning Board. All 4 of these are fully volunteer in nature, contribute tremendously to our understanding of the specific issues that we are faced with development or in land preservation strategies that have been working with in order to preserve the 70,000 acres that Councilman Katz referenced earlier. As many of you know, we've focused an increasing amount of time and attention in the commercial districts and commercial corridors. This includes Liberty Road, where we are currently involved in helping to create a community development organization so that we will again have an on-the-ground partner that's going to help us deliver on the plans that the community helped to develop over the last few years. Through this organization, through this mechanism, we really believe that we're going to be able to better serve the community, having someone that we can work with in a community development organization structure. This is true also in some of the other corridors, but one of the real challenges that we face is the fact that most of these commercial districts have a state road that runs through them. So building upon what we hope to be a new relationship with the new State Department of Transportation personnel and state highways, we're really looking to concentrate more effort in making sure that some of these corridors really get the attention that they need. The capital funds that I mentioned earlier will be used in part to help us do that. We also have been working through the county executive's Essex initiative to work not only in the downtown, I'll call it the downtown of Essex, the business district, but also then to look at how we can enhance the relationship and the engagement of the community in making sure that Essex is a vibrant place and is really attractive to the residents as well as to any businesses. We funded in the Chesapeake Chamber of Commerce so they could hire an individual to work in that corridor. She's hit the ground running and done tremendous work already in engaging business members. In fact, has already started with their facade improvement program and received 14 applications so that we can start to make some direct impact in a fiscal sense in that corridor. And the last thing I'll mention has to do with Security Square Mall. As you know, and greatly appreciate the engagement of the council in supporting the Security Square Mall initiative, the county did purchase a property that was owned by Sears. We have we completed a charrette and we're close to finishing the charrette report that also reflects the aspirations, excitement, and potential that site can bring. We've been engaged with the property owners. As you may also know, Speaker Jones has been very supportive and helped us to obtain additional state funds that are matched in our budget from the county executive so that we can begin to build out a new infrastructure and then start looking at how we can bring in redevelopment of the site that we own and then work with the owners of the other parts of the property to address the potential that mall site provides. When you have a total of 90 acres sitting right off of major highways, proximate to, as Madam Mayo mentioned, to Social Security Administration and CMMS, we have the potential of really building up a really dynamic community instead of seeing the kind of decline that area has experienced. So I have to sort of take a little exception to the suggestion that perhaps the consultant services would be a resource to reduce. We have a very limited staff. And if we're going to be serious about working with communities going forward and developing the kind of resources that they want to see, then these services, these dollars are going to be very vital. Whether there's small area plans, but there's another document that's posted on the website. It's called the Citizens Guide to Zoning. that hasn't been updated since 2016. That is a resource that we hear community members referencing all the time. And if we're going to be, if we're going to make sure that the residents have accurate information, then that is another potential way that we will be using these funds. So I appreciate the time and the attention, all the support that you've provided the planning department over the past few years that I've been here. I'm happy to take any questions.
Mr. Chair?
I think that was Councilman Patoka.
Oh, okay, I'll go. Just a couple of questions, Director Lafferty. You did answer on the Community Planning Institute. I had quite a number of people come up to me and said and asked me that they're shared with me that they applied, but they didn't make it in. And then you said 115 applications were received and only 25 slots were available. And I think there's a new set of enrollees to the CPI, or there would be a new cycle for that.
Well, the program started last night with Deputy Amy Mante and April Smith, and the first cohort is 25 people.
Gotcha. Okay. I mean, that's something that some really well-qualified people said they didn't, that was shocking that they didn't make it. So I'd be interested in the criteria, but also I think it's great, and it's something that needs to grow. And the other item I wanted to just share with you is related to Master Plan 2030. And I've reviewed it pretty thoroughly. And while I won't share all of the comments here, wait till the county receives it. There is one that's very pertinent, one major item that's very pertinent to budget. It's in the growth framework section 6, growth framework 6 under land use processes. And there's a comment in there that says adjust the frequency of the comprehensive zoning map process, or the CZMP, from every 4 years to every 10 years to align with the county's master plan process, and reduce staff time dedicated to the process, and enable a shift of department resources into under-resourced planning activities. So that's an odd one for me, because we just heard an agency that really has bulked up to address the mandate. And I feel the same way about planning, rather than kind of change how the county operates to address the person power at planning. Why not have a more robust planning staff to address the CZMP that we know occurs every 4 years?
Well, because it's every 4 years, Councilman, actually, while it occurs every 4 years, the full planning starts a full year almost before the September deadline. So it's really much more like an 18-month process. We have found in our research that Baltimore County is very unique in the way that it handles comprehensive rezoning. We're about the only one that really has it, a cycle that's this short. And bringing on new staff certainly would be welcome. As I said, we don't have the staff for the consultant, why we need consultant services and support. And we've been trying to grow the department, but we're also at a stage, as the county executive has advised all directors, that we need to re-examine the salary structure and how we attract and retain staff. So rather than just bringing on new staff, we need to find strategies that we can use to retain them. Would I like to have more staff? Absolutely. We have a lot of work to do, and a lot more engagement of the community has also led to greater demand. But we also think that the rezoning starts to drive decisions that should be really driven by the master plan. And that's why we recommended the change in the zoning cycle.
I agree with you that we need more planning staff. I know it's a shocker to many of my colleagues, especially Councilman Crandall. But it's a pretty bold idea. And there's other items in the master plan that I'll address separately with you and colleagues on the council. But I just, that one just seemed, I agree we should do more small, the master plan suggests we do more small area plans. And I agree with that. I just think we need staff across the board to address all of the planning needs that we'll see over the next budget year and over the next 4 years and 8 years and 10 years. So thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you.
Thank you, Director Lefty.
Thank you, Councilman Potokes.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes,
yeah, it's Wade.
Councilman Katz?
Yeah, thank you. Steve, I'm sure you agree with me that the CZMP process is very important, especially in light of the fact that things are changing so quickly. As you take a look at the office buildings and the vacancies there, and probably these vacancies are going to remain. So we need to keep our zoning up to date so that it can keep up with the times. And so because of COVID, in the last cycle, I found it a little more difficult to deal with the CZMP process. This is because of COVID. The process before that I went through in 2016, I believe that a member of the planning staff was assigned to 1 or 2 council members, and we'd meet frequently in our offices and go over, exchange ideas and also talk about things you can do, can't do, etc. And I found that to be very helpful. 4 years ago, I found it a little, I don't think the word is chaotic, but it was not as user friendly.
It wasn't, Jacob.
And I know it was because of COVID. I know that. And just wondering what next year's CZMP process will be like. Are we going to be assigned a member of your staff, or to serve to help 2 council members and have them come to the office and help us to make decisions, etc.?
Well, our community planning staff is set up that there is one community planner per council district. So that individual certainly would be available to work with the individual council members, along with Amy and perhaps Jennifer Meacham, who helps to do a lot of the mapping. So both Amy and Jen Meacham are very experienced in the CZMP process. And I know in talking with both of them expect to have a lot of conversations with the council members, but we also do have an individual community planner, councilman, who will be working with each of the members.
Thank you. Good. I appreciate that so much. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes, go ahead, Councilman Young.
Thanks. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Steve, Director Lafferty, for the presentation. This is one, I know we're kind of over time, but also this is kind of a statement, less of a question built in. I just wanted to thank you and Johnny Ochesky's administration for the commitment to Security Boulevard and the Security Mall property. I know it was referenced in the analysis, as well as reference to matching funds for the West Side Development Corps. I know I've talked with a few of my colleagues about legislation that I've had drafted, and this is also sort of FYI to the members I haven't talked to yet about introducing legislation, which is specific in scope to the Liberty Road corridor and the Security Square Mall corridor, Route 40. That being said, there a total of commitment from the county of 250,000. I believe there was 250,000 from the state on the House side and 750,000 from the Senate side, totaling 1.2 million for seed funding, the redevelopment core, which is huge. And thank you for that. Because this is unique to us, and this isn't the normal or the traditional role that the county's played in the past when it comes to redevelopment. I just wanted to ask one, based on, I know we're waiting on the results from the charrette and the community's been waiting to, how you see the relationship between your office and a potential redevelopment authority, knowing it hasn't been stood up, but how you see that relationship fostering, moving into the future, knowing that there's seed funding and knowing that we're working towards a better outcome in that property.
Well, we're more than happy, of course, to provide whatever support might the redevelopment authority require. We recognize in the master plan that really what the future is for Baltimore County is more retrofitting, because we don't have that much land, undeveloped land inside the URL that we can encourage to be developed. So a lot of it's going to be redevelopment or retrofitting the existing locations. And certainly when a new development or redevelopment authority is created for the West Side, we'd hope, one, that they'd work in tandem with the community development organization that's already being birthed, as it were, being created. But also, we can be a resource on a lot of the research, a lot of the analysis side, the mapping, helping the new organization actually be launched. And certainly we're fortunate that we have Amy Menser on our staff, who was the executive director of Dunlop Renaissance Corporation, so understands sort of the CDC structure idea. But I know this potential redevelopment authority is different in structure, but I think we have a great team that can provide support for them.
Then I look forward to working with you as we work through legislation in the coming months. Thank you.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman Young. Any additional questions or comments from the members?
Mr. Chairman.
Yes, Councilman Mark.
Thank you. Steve, I want to thank you for your assistance with the White Marsh Town Center survey. That was a terrific product. It would not have been possible without your staff, so thank you very much.
You're welcome.
I also want to echo what you said about the updates to the Citizens Guide to Zoning. That's something I've raised in meetings, and I completely agree with you there. Question about the Western Golf Association. Why is the funding for this in your budget versus economic developments?
It may have to do with, I don't believe they have any capital programs that they administer, Councilman. Whereas we do. They don't have a capital account. As Dr. Lynch indicated, much of their funds are grants, excuse me, but they're not capital in nature. We've been administering capital funds for many, many years out of this countywide improvement account.
Right.
So I believe, just as with some of the other projects that you see listed, it was probably placed in our budget because we have staff and capacity to work with the recipient.
Okay. And my understanding is this is basically to pay for scaffolding, right? For visitor stands and walkways and things like that. Do we know, was this paid by Caves Valley in 2021?
I don't know what the source would have been for any of the things that they were providing at that time. I know that the major sports entertainment event program that is running this have approached the state and the county for additional support, because I expect to actually go above the 100,000 visitors that actually participated last time. So it'll be a bigger event. I don't know how they got the funding for it the first time around.
Okay. Okay. Thank you very much. We are going to be looking ahead to the adequate public facilities ordinance. At least several of us have expressed an interest in this, and as we do so, Your office will be vital in providing us with data. Is that something you continue to help us with?
Um, I assume that's what happened
And Pete,
first
and Pete.
task force work, Councilman. So, you know, we're a resource, to the extent we can be, you know.
Okay. Last question has to do with the master plan draft. I know that I think several of us have some questions about maybe one or two of the citizen comments. How many citizen comments were provided? Do you know?
Yes, we received 184 comments on the plan. We've been able to incorporate about 81 of those. 70 of them weren't really germane. Some of them were really about small area plan issues. Some of them were not really even relevant to a master plan. And we still have some to review that are related to the water resource element. But we got 184 comments, external comments.
Okay. Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
So, the selection of the comments so far, were they, you say the ones that you put them all in there that were relevant, and the ones that were not relevant you left out? Or did you have to pick and choose which ones you wanted to put in?
Well, for instance, a number of comments had to do with local roadways and improving traffic efforts or providing a stream restoration in certain areas. Those are really for a small area plan. They're going to be dealt with or addressed in a more localized planning process, as opposed to pulling those out or identifying those for the as a countywide master plan issue.
Okay, so I think some of the members, including myself, I guess, have, there's a comment that says transparency in development is a good thing. The community sees how the county council has played with the PUD regulations to bypass zoning. And it says Master Plan 2030 Phase 2 comment.
Okay.
So was that something that you guys believe in, or why was that comment put in there? Or was that just one of the random ones put in, or?
I'd have to look at that specifically. I don't know the context, Councilman.
Okay.
Well, I'm talking, the comments I'm referencing, Councilman, are ones that we received during the open comment period from April 3 through April 17. That's the comments I'm referencing.
Okay.
Is there
Mr. Chair, why would a comment like that be put into the master plan?
Can you?
Without any context or evidence that makes that comment relevant?
I'd have to look back at it, Councilman, to see, is that a specific goal or action that you can cite for me, one of you, so I can look at this?
Yes, give me just a second.
I'm sorry, was that question pointed at me?
Well,
Director Lafferty?
anybody who might have it in front of them. I think Councilman Patoka was going to look for it.
I've got it.
Go, Dave.
Transparency and development is a good thing. The community sees how the county council has played with the PUD regulations to bypass zoning. Look, I mean, I'm at the center of a big controversy over plan unit developments, and I completely agree we need to reform the process, but I don't think we should be generalizing like this in the master plan.
And you're correct. We can remove that from the plan. Is there a specific goal or action
Yeah.
that I'm trying to find it in the plan,
It's,
Councilman?
the Director Lafferty, it's under growth framework item 7.
Okay, thank you. We'll make sure that's eliminated from the plan.
Thank you very much.
Okay, any additional questions or comments from the members?
Chair, I have one question. It's Mike Ertel.
Yes,
Sorry,
Councilman Ertel.
sorry, I'm not on screen.
All
Um,
right.
Director Lafferty, there's something in here about equity districts. Can you explain what those are and where they might be,
This
or
was
where they potentially could be?
Sure. Thank you for that question. Actually, the concept of a community equity district was developed in the early stages of our deliberations on how do we utilize the ARPA funding. And using information from the United Way through their ALICE report, as well as other metrics such as educational performance, violent crime, housing availability or lack of housing availability. We were looking at how do you address the inequities or disparities that exist in various communities in the county. We have mapped those out using those demographics. And in fact, it's now essentially what we use as the ARPA map to help us identify the areas where ARPA funding can be provided, since it's limited by certain criteria by the Treasury Department. And some of them are fairly large and some of them are fairly small. We've actually used some of that to community equity ARPA funds to support the creation or encourage the development of a vacant grocery store on Liberty Road that the council chair is very familiar with, in order to encourage the new grocery store from coming in. We are also now looking at that community equity district concept to be applied in a couple of targeted parts of the county, so that we can actually, again, look at the disparities and inequities that may exist across the range of issues, not just looking at income, but also looking at the other disparities that exist. We haven't mapped out, we at one time we were thinking 6 or 8, and possibly fund organizations that could then help to grow those. We've come to realize that it was a much more complicated process than simply drawing a boundary and finding a new organization. But it's again aimed at the disparities that exist that are different in different parts of the county, and you have to treat them differently because those parts of the county are unique in many respects.
Great, thank you. And it sounded like in the master plan that we were potentially trying to eliminate the PUD. Is that what we were hearing, or was that?
No, that was not the intent. The intent really is that there's obviously, as each of the council members who's worked on a PUD project knows, there are a lot of questions that come up about the process. And so it was a recommendation really to look at the process and to see if it needs any adjustments, to make sure that it reflects not only what the council wants to see, but also what the community wants to see.
Okay.
So,
Thank you,
Director
sir.
Lafferty, thank you, Councilman Ertel. Director Lafferty, I've often, my assessment so many times of our overall development procedures and processes, whether or not it be a PUD or CZMP, I find it very interesting, and I always appreciated the fact that it costs a lot more money to go through a PUD process than it does to go through the CZMP process. So I always thought that the CZMP process was an opportunity for citizens and communities to sort of weigh in. So I was, curious about, I always thought that was a good thing, and especially as it related to a 4-year time frame, because things change so fast. As we can see what happened with COVID, you look at COVID and the whole commercial landscape has changed, And I know COVID is a once in a lifetime event, but you look at the whole, basically the landscape has changed and it's only been 3 or 4 years from the beginning to now. And I wonder whether or not thinking about, would it be helpful or would it be beneficial or hurtful to the community at large by extending the CZMP further out?
Well, perhaps it requires then a different examination of out of cycle zoning if you move it to the 10-year timeframe, but provide another opportunity out of cycle for zoning changes because of use or mistake or change, change or mistake. Because certainly, as you point out, Mr. Chairman, there have been significant changes in the economic landscape that perhaps could warrant by itself a change in the use of certain property or the rezoning of certain property. And that may be a mechanism instead of the intensive process that has been adopted over time on a 4-year cycle.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, may I be recognized?
Yes.
Good afternoon. I want to also point out what Director Lafferty is saying. We did some benchmarking on other jurisdictions, which he may have mentioned. We were looking at the cycle and the frequency for another matter, but we did find where we, Baltimore County, are an anomaly for the short period of time that we go through our cycle. That the average was 10. If they did it at all. And it may be something that you would want to consider and revisit. We certainly have the benchmarking data that we could make available.
Well, I can tell you now that because everybody's doing it, don't mean we should do it. I think Baltimore County is unique, and I think we have some good processes in place for good reason. And I think the process has served us well. I did have another question for Director Lafferty. He was saying the process is more than a year. It's like an 18-month process. And I was thinking, well, what work is being done now if we do not have one single issue for the CZMP process yet? What work would be done either before or after the process began?
Well, we have to make sure that all the internal platforms that are used for entering data, for mapping, for collecting the funds, for notification, that all of them are functional or in place. Ms. Deputy Mante has been having meetings with agencies so that we can get comments from agencies and helping many new people who have not been part of the process work through what's going to be required of them once issues are submitted. We have to make sure we get public meeting spaces lined up for the public hearings in the schools or in the communities. So there's a lot of that background work, as well as we are already starting to field questions from the public about the CZMP and what the process will entail. I will say that we also looked at whether the fee structure was appropriate based on what we saw in 2016 and 2020. And chose then not to make any changes in the fee, but that was something because over a period of years, costs of administering the program have increased. Then, it's that kind of background information. We want to make sure all the systems are functioning when we start to take in applications and people make appointments.
Okay. Any additional questions or comments?
I have one, Chair.
Yes, Councilman Ertel.
I mean, just one quick comment on the CZMP. As a former community person for a long time, my fear, I don't know that 4 years is the right number, and it seems awful quick. And as Director Lafferty said, they have to prepare in advance. But going to 10 years, I feel like is really going to put an onerous on the community in the sense that you have a lot of boards where people are not on a neighborhood or a community board for 10 years. And if the CZMP process goes to that long, you really don't have anyone often or that's going to have institutional knowledge of how to deal with it. And I think it puts the communities at a disadvantage in the sense that if no one knows what it is, they're just not going to engage the process. And often the development community or, property owners who are looking to profit from their properties in different ways are going to have more of an advantage over neighborhood groups to be able to engage it. And, unless we do a much better education process with boards, and I just don't see that happening. But that's my 2 cents about the 10 years. I think that's way too low. I think we go from one extreme to the other. That's all I had. Sorry.
Thank you, Councilman Ertel. Any additional questions, comments from the members? Well, it's been a long meeting, but we certainly appreciate everybody's participation. And if there's no other comments or questions, I guess we will adjourn.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Yes. Sure.